So we're going to take a look at defending against a long gun. Okay, now, whether it's a shotgun, whether it's a rifle of some form or fashion, they are something that comes up. It is something that is plausible. You see them oftentimes in active shooter situations. They're more and more prevalent, so we have to understand how these work. Now again, with everything, I have to be into at least a distance where I can do something about the shooting, right? If I can't get my hands on him in some form or fashion, then I either need to talk myself towards it, or I need to be running for cover, period. Diving behind things that may stop bullets, you know, hitting corners and things along those lines. So just keep that in mind. So we have long gun positions. We're going to keep this, again, very concept-driven, concept-based. So if the gun is pointed directly at me, I want to redirect it. If I redirect closest to the end of the muzzle, I'll have the best leverage on the weapon. Oftentimes, people look at these as more dangerous and deadly than a handgun. But when we get into 2 arms reach, where I can actually grab onto it, it's actually significantly easier to defend against something like this than it is to defend against a handgun. It requires, for the most part, him to have 2 hands on the weapon to utilize it properly, which means his hands are occupied. He can't wrestle and fight me and strike me nearly as well. Because of the length of the weapon, just physics and levers come into play. If I can get my hands wider than his hands, I'm going to have a better chance of potential energy and good leverage positions as far as that goes. So that's huge. The other thing is, remember, the only dangerous part of this weapon is the tiny circle that's on the end. If I get inside of the tiny circle that's on the end, it takes him a lot more cumbersome big motions to redirect that. So keep those little pieces and puzzles in mind. So he's got the gun pointed at me. The first thing I'm going to do, again, natural normal position. I'm freaked out. My hands are up. I'm looking at the gun. That's all very natural stuff. Don't try to be, you know, Chuck Norris, Steven Seagal style thing where I'm upright and calm and things. It's holy crap. There's a freaking gun in my face, right? From this position, I'm going to redirect the gun. As I redirect the gun, I redirect it with my hand and at the same exact time with my body, just like we've always done. Now, once it's redirected, I want to make sure that I can't get anything else. He can't get the gun back on me. So with our handgun, we go bop bop and get 2 hands on it. Because it's a larger weapon, I can get my body on it. So I'm going to get it out of the way. I'm going to already start moving, and I'm going to bear hug the gun. I'm going to bring one arm underneath to make sure that I can get a good purchase on the gun here. My other hand is going to shoot back to the back of the gun here. And we're going to rotate around, and you can see, if at all possible, I'm trying to get behind this hand. Because remember, the wider my grip is compared to his, the better leverage I have on it. So I have a good grab on the gun here. I'm not trying to hold it in my hand and fight grip strength to grip strength. I'm holding this thing and bear hugging it. I'm pulling down, pulling the elbow in nice and tight. The other hand's on the butt of the gun. From here, if I stay inside of this, I'm not getting shot, okay, from this weapon. It can be shooting and ejecting shell casings in my face, all that stuff, but that's all superficial things. Nothing is actually breaking you. You might be getting burnt out here because the barrel gets hot. It's superficial stuff. You're not getting shot. But I glue myself to this weapon. Now that I'm glued myself to this weapon, I can start to strike. Maybe I throw knees down low. Maybe I'm throwing headbutts. As I do that, I'm applying pressure down on the gun, and I'm going to start thinking about punching him in the head with the end of the weapon. Okay? I'm not looking to do a fancy skilled takeaway where I do these big swimming motions with the weapon. I get the weapon off the line of me. I make sure I get inside control of the weapon the best I can. I can use my knees and my head butts, but what I'm doing is driving the front of that gun into his head repetitively over and over again. Now when I get to here, if you want to throw butt strikes and hit there, you perfectly can, and then move yourself out. Again, if you don't know where the safeties are and the levers and how to actually do this and charging handles and stuff on a long gun, don't turn it back around and act like you're going to shoot it, okay? So, this works from one side, boom, boom, the same exact way from the other side, boom, boom, okay? Difference being, I have to know whether I get my arm underneath or I get my arm over top, okay? If I get my arm over top, you'll have a tendency to kind of turn your body to a position where it's just a little awkward, where hips in line. So if I can, it would be nice to get my arm underneath his arm. That being said, if you end up over top, then so be it, you end up over top. Make sure you're controlling it nice and tight from here, and then I've got my knees, I've got my head butts, and I can start ripping and yanking on the gun and pulling and positioning from there. So if it's up to us, or if we have the opportunity, I clear here, I get a hold, bang, and I end up underneath. Now from underneath, same objective, same idea. I have my head butts, I have my knees, I'm driving the muzzle at his head repetitively to be able to strike from there. Beautiful part about this, if the gun is touching, same thing we talked about earlier. Redirect, turn the body, end up underneath. If I'm doing it from this side, same thing we talked about earlier. Redirect, turn the body, end up underneath. If he's doing it from behind, I'm here, redirect, grab on, same position. If we're doing it from here and I turn the other way, redirect, grab on, same exact position as I go to hit and strike from there. So one basic answer, or two if you want to look at it that way, for all of these questions of long gun, within reach, or touching, some form or fashion.